Well, it's time to vote for your NBA All Stars again. This year, in addition to the fans having a vote for the starters, the players will also have some input on who they feel should start. And I'm going to go ahead and break down my list for both the Eastern and Western Conference uh, players that I feel are deserving to start for the All Star game. Now, the format remains the same. It's you pick three forwards and two guards for each respective conference. I'm gonna go ahead and break down my list, and then I want you guys to go ahead and let me know who do you feel should be All Stars this year for both the Eastern and Western Conference. I'm going to start out with the Eastern Conference and start off with the forwards. Of course, I'm going to have LeBron James on that list. He's just having another consistent year in his first ballot Hall of Fame career. Um, he's allowing Kyrie to handle the scoring load this year, and he's really just facilitating the offense as well as setting the tone for defense for the Cavs. And it looks like it's going to be the Cavs and the Warriors again coming down for the championship this year, barring any injuries. So LeBron James is definitely going to be a starter on my list. Kevin Love. Kevin Love is finally back to being Kevin Love. This is the first year that he truly looks comfortable in playing in the offense. He's not deferring to anybody. He's had some big scoring numbers, the 34 point first quarter. Um, he's just been really consistent. He's backed up to putting 20 points as well as over 10 rebounds a game, and he's finally looking comfortable. He's not deferring, and Kevin Love deserves to be an All-Star this year. Um, the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo. When he was drafted, he was looked at as a project. Everybody loved his measurables, and his potential, but how often does the potential and these guys with the great numbers as far as wingspan and height, how often do they pan out in the NBA and become what these GMs and these owners and the franchise and the coaches envisioned when they drafted him? Well, he's one of those guys that has consistently now gotten better every year he's been in the league. His numbers have increased, and the Bucks this year they're contending for a playoff spot. I think they probably will end up getting like a seventh, eighth seed in the playoffs, and um, I don't think teams would be look forward to paying them in the playoffs if they end up making it because they're a solid team with a lot of young players. Jabari Parker's also having a good year. There's a possibility he may make it as a reserve, or in the future you definitely see Jabari Parker being on an All-Star team. But sky's the limit for Giannis at this point. If he ever develops a consistent outside jumper, a three-point shooting capability, then really look out. He'll eventually possibly be an MVP candidate if he continues to get better. Um, DeMar DeRozan. Here's a player that got paid in the offseason, and then sometimes players get paid in the offseason and they start off the year slow due to the pressure from the contract. But here's a guy that put in a lot of work in the offseason, and he just came out attacking, putting up career scoring numbers, and really handling the burden of the scoring load for the Toronto Raptors, which they're the number two team in the East. Can they beat the Cavs this year? I don't think so, but they're going to have another good year, and it's probably going to come down to them and Cleveland again, them and Cleveland for the Eastern Conference, but with Cleveland coming out on top. But DeMar DeRozan is definitely having a great year. For my guards, for my last guard, I have Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving is such a talented player, especially offensively. Um, he's not a true point guard. He's more of a two guard in a point guard's body. And with LeBron handling the duties of facilitating and moving the ball, it's just really freed Kyrie to focus on what he does best, which is scoring. He's one of the best finishers as well as ball handlers in the league, and he's very deserving of a starting all-star spot. For close calls for the Eastern Conference, I'm going to say Isaiah Thomas. He's having another good year. He's a very scrappy, resilient player. He comes to play every night. Um, I'm sure he'll make it as a reserve, but he was a close call for me, as well as Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry's really been on a tear this year, especially from 3 point distance of late. Um, I'm sure he's going to make the team as a reserve, but I gave DeMar DeRozan a slight edge in his teammate as a, in voting for him as a starter this year. We'll move on to the West, and we'll start off with the forwards. We'll go with Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant has had a seamless transition from moving on from Oklahoma to playing now for the Golden State Warriors. He's such an efficient scorer. He really makes scoring seem so easily. There's nothing that he can't do on the floor as as far as offensively. He can hit difficult shots. He can take you off the dribble. He can post up some. He's just really a talented player. He's also a difficult shot maker. But this year, because he's playing on a team with, of course, Klay Thompson and with Steph Curry, he's not having to take those heavily contested shots that he was, in years past, maybe playing for the Thunder. Kawhi Leonard, basically Tim Duncan patched the torch uh, to Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard, obviously, as well, has been another player that has surprised a lot of people over the last few years. When he was drafted, he was mainly drafted for defensive reasons, but then he's developed his offensive game, and he's getting better and better every year. Um, he might be the best two-way player in the league. Um, the next step for him is just becoming a better facilitator, setting up guys on his team. But you can't ask for a better player. Um, one quiet, yeah, basically one quiet superstar to another. That San Antonio future is looking to be bright, and one of the biggest reasons is because they have a Kawhi Leonard. Um, Anthony Davis. Now, usually for the All Stars, especially for starters, I mean, I do take in consideration winning, and I know that the Pelicans don't have the best record at this point, but with the load that Anthony Davis has to carry, I just had to go ahead and give him the nod for making the team at one of the forward spots. There's been lots of injuries, unfortunately, with his team this year, which they got off to a slow start. They have Tyreek Evans has recently just been inserted back into the lineup, and he's a key piece. Drew Holiday missed um, the bulk of the earlier games with personal reasons. Buddy Hield got off to a slow start with his rookie season, both scoring. He's not been shooting great. He's been playing a little bit better as of late, but Anthony Davis has come to play every night. He's putting up great numbers, rebounding, scoring, blocking shots, steals. So Anthony Davis is definitely deserving of a starting forward spot. Now we will go on to the guards. There's so many good guards in the Western Conference, but I'm going to go ahead and give Steph Curry a nod for one of the guard spots for starting. Of course, his numbers have dipped a little bit, and that's to be expected when you have another scorer with the talent of Kevin Durant now joining the team. You still also have Klay Thompson, and you just have one ball. But they've been doing a good job of moving the ball and looking for the open man. Um, they're one of the best teams as far as assisting numbers on a nightly basis. Um, and a big part of that is Steph Curry not really having an ego. The first unanimous MVP um, was a big part of recruiting Kevin Durant. And basically that just shows you that Steph is really about winning. He just wants to win another ring. Uh, they don't want to have another year like they did last year where they end up winning, 73 games, setting records for most wins all of time, but you don't get the ring at the end of it, because at the end of it, what are the historically good players, measured against? It's usually how many rings you have at the end of the day. And basically that's Steph Curry. I think that's what he wants to do. He's trying to establish a dynasty there with the Golden State Warriors. Um, Lastly, we will go with Westbrook, with Russell Westbrook. Um, he's having a historical season. Right now, he's averaging a triple double, and we know the only player that has done that um, was Oscar Robertson. And Russell Westbrook has to do so much for the Oklahoma Thunder team on a nightly basis for them to be competitive. Oladipo recently has been injured. Um, he really has to set up and put Steven Adams in, basically in position to to score. Steven Adams is not a back to the basket type of guy, but he is a good pick and roll player, and his emergence part of that is the chemistry that him and Westbrook have on the court. Um, Lastly, and that's it for the Western and the Eastern Conference guys that I have. Close call for the West would be James Harden, of course. He's off to a MVP type numbers. He's putting up great numbers as far as scoring and career highs for assisting. Um, but I had to give Steph Curry and Russell Westbrook the nod over Harden at this point. And then also, of course, CP3. He's having another consistent year, but I had to go ahead and also give Curry and Westbrook the edge as far as starting over him. So that's it. That's my list. We'll go over it one more time, and then I'd like for you to give me your votes. LeBron, Love, Giannis Antetokounmpo, DeMar DeRozan, Kyrie Irving for the East. For the West, we've got KD, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Steph Curry, and Russell Westbrook. Okay, basically in the comment section, let me know who you guys have. Thank you.